representatives of the Prime Minister's Office, Mrs. Zaira Rada, board members of the Media Trust, the representative of the US Embassy in Mauritius, Jonathan Kohler, Mr. James Lemay, media consultant, colleagues of the media, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all at the Media Trust for the launch of this important training program on investigative journalism, an important initiative that marks the spirit of the World Press Freedom Week. Just 3 days ago, on the 3rd of May, we joined the global community in celebrating World Press Freedom Day, a moment not only to reflect, but to recommit ourselves to the values that uphold a free and responsible press. I would like to begin by expressing our heartfelt gratitude to the US Embassy in Mauritius, whose support and long-standing collaboration with the Media Trust have been instrumental in making initiatives like this possible. Over the years, our partnership has empowered dozens of journalists to sharpen their skills and deepen their sense of responsibility to the public. Today is another proud milestone in this journey. Investigative journalism is not merely about uncovering hidden facts. It is about seeking the truth in the service of the public good. We journalists are not just observers, we are active guarantors of democracy. We hold power to account, give voice to the voiceless, and ensure transparency. In a world increasingly flooded with misinformation, the need for ethical evidence-based journalism has never been more urgent. Investigative reporting is the backbone of that effort. It is not always easy. It requires courage, persistence, and a firm grounding in ethical standards, but it is essential. We hope that very soon we will be able to see the skills you acquire during this training in your work, your stories, and the impact you create. We want to see reporting that is not only informative, but transformative journalism that challenges, questions, and uplifts. I wish you a fruitful training. Thank you. It is now my honor to invite the representative of the US Embassy, Mr. Jonathan Kohler, for a few words.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Jonathan Kohler. I'm the spokesperson of the US Embassy, and I recognize many of you from our programs over the last 3 years. Having the honor to be at the Embassy here in Mauritius, it is such a pleasure to see you again. Thank you for joining us in our programs today and for the 4-day workshop this week. We know that the last 6 months have brought a lot of changes to Mauritius, including new and fresh leadership in the Prime Minister's office and just recently municipal elections last weekend. And we also know that there's been no shortage of news generated from those developments and no shortage of pressure on you journalists to report on those events. And that's the reason why this kind of workshop matters. We know that journalists play a vital role in helping Mauritians and the rest of the world understand what's happening here in Mauritius. And your work brings clarity and context and background to the events that are happening, helping not only Mauritius, but also people around the world understand what's happening here. And we're especially grateful to our key partners here, the Media Trust, especially to Canon, for your support in helping organize events like this that bring some additional skill-building opportunities to journalists here in Mauritius. That's why we're so excited today to be able to introduce our guest facilitator, James Lemay. James brings decades of experience from CNN's Washington Bureau to his global consulting work with newsrooms around the world. He's also an Emmy-winning journalist and a sought-after media advisor, and also a powerful advocate for quality reporting. So thank you again for your attendance. I'll hand this back over to James, and we're very excited for the conversations ahead of us.
Thank you. So thank you for having introduced Mr. Lemay. And over the next 4 days, Mr. Lemay will guide you through the principles and practices of investigative reporting, from sourcing and verification to legal considerations and storytelling techniques. We are truly privileged to have someone of his caliber with us. Dear colleagues, please join me in welcoming Mr. James Lemay.
Good morning. How is everyone? We're going to be together for a few days. So kind of get comfortable, right? I'm honored to be here and honored to have been asked by the State Department and World Learning to come out here and work with you. I want to sort of say up front, yes, I have a vast amount of experience internationally. Born and raised in Europe and Northern Africa for most of my life until I got back to the States. So I've been exposed to a lot of different cultures. Often I was a minority in many of those cases, so I kind of understand that as well. But as journalists, and I want to make this statement clear, if you chose to be a journalist, it was not a job, it's a way of life. And I think most of us can agree with that, right? Many of you from radio, from print, from digital, even students. It is not a 9-to-5 kind of job. Because your sense of curiosity never ends. You're always constantly curious about what the next thing is, what's going on. And lastly, if we're all being honest, we want to be the first to know. Yeah. So if we are, we can share it with others, and that's a good feeling, right? So that's sort of the good news about being a journalist. The bad news is it's a 24-hour job. It doesn't really stop, and your family probably tells you that all the time. You've got to stop looking at your phone. You've got to stop calling the office and sources. But it's just almost impossible if you're going to succeed. So today, what I'm going to talk to you about, and I'm going to help you with, I do this in different versions of this, but I try and tailor it to the specific people I'm working with. In this case, it's you, the conversion population, and the challenges you have. It's the research that I do with the company I work with now. As we did with CNN, we often research who our audience is, what they're looking for, what they're missing, and we formed our content online and on air around that, right? The reason is we didn't want to just do news for ourselves. Meaning if she and I came up with a really good idea and we went and did that story and nobody listened, it really is not worthwhile, right? We have to have input from our consumers to know what is it that matters to them, what is of value, so that we can continue to serve them, because that's our job, is to serve the public. We're public servants in many ways, instead of just making each other happy. If we happen to make each other happy at the same time, that's great. So the tools I'm going to give you today, and this is over the next 2-3 days, and it will be a lot, we're going to go through a lot, are going to be tools you can use the moment you leave here. I'm very big on practical use. I want to give you things that you can put to practice immediately, right? I want to open your mind to things that are going around the world, and if they're not here, they'll soon be here, that you can be prepared for. So this is a kind of a twofold mission. One is help you better understand some new techniques, potentially, that you might not have known, some new ideas that you can exercise today. Second, open your eyes to, and maybe even your imagination to, what the future may bring. We get into AI and some of the other issues like that. A couple of ground rules. If you need to use the restroom, go. It's not a big deal. There's nobody. This isn't class. This isn't school where you have to ask permission. Just, you're all professionals, or soon to be professionals, so please take advantage of that. If you need to step out and make a phone call, make a phone call. I completely trust that you will pay attention and be involved, and I think that you'll benefit from this. One of the first things I need to make you aware of, you look at your schedule at the top of it. The FCC is going to be joining us in about 45 minutes or so. They're going to do a presentation, and they're going to take questions from you. A press conference is probably the best way to describe it. I want you to start thinking about it. I'm going to give you an introduction into what is a new revelation from our research from consumers around the world. A project done just last year and updated this year that will help you focus on what that press conference can be. I want you to know that that press conference, or those presentations and the questions you ask, will become part of your work project over the next 3 days. So pay close attention, take notes, you would anyway, right? But know that we're going to use this event, for lack of another term, to help form what stories you're going to tell about and how you're going to tell those stories. And we're going to break you into groups to do that. Just giving you a heads up. So Don't go to sleep and step out. You want to be engaged with FCC when they come forward. And I want to thank Marina and the State Department for having set that up. You're very fortunate, I think, as journalists, as I think we all are, whenever we can get in front of public officials that are very controversial, and be able to ask them questions. That's kind of what we like to do. That's a good thing, right? So take full advantage. Start thinking now about questions that you want to forward. Before I start, anybody have any questions or concerns that we want to address on?